Good evening. It's 5:33. Thank you for waiting a few minutes. We had a call that wasn't expected, but was appreciated that it was passed on to us. And we'll begin the meeting of the Council of the Village of Gates Mills. It is July 21st, 2026 at 5:34 in the evening. May I have the roll call, please?
Broom,
Yes.
Greco,
Yes.
Onesco,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Steinbrink,
Yes.
Turner, Young.
Here.
Okay, first item on the agenda is the minutes of the regular council meeting of June 16th. We have a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions, suggestions, or changes to the minutes? Beth, thanks to you and Janet for a wonderful job. I read them cover to cover, and it's amazing how you're able to, both of you, are able to put all of that meaningful information down in narrative supported by the tape. But thank you for the work to do that. It's no small effort.
Well, I try to get it less than 13 or 14 pages, but it doesn't happen.
I've been tasked to try to get my meetings down to an hour and a half, and that doesn't happen all the time either. So we're both going to work harder at things.
Yes.
May I have a roll call, please?
Broom,
Yes.
Greco,
Yes.
Onesco,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Steinbrink,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Thank you. It's our pleasure to take a few minutes before we get into the business of the meeting to recognize Noah Scanlon and to swear him in. I'll ask Noah and his parents to come forward and help me with that delightful task. Tom? Rob? Alan, I understand you're going to be the honors. Okay. Noah Scanlon is an 18-year-old young man who has already achieved great successes in life. He's already achieved his EMT certificate, and he's being sworn in today as a firefighter with the Village of Gates Mills. We're pleased with all the success that he's had, all the hard work that he's done, and it's the result of the cadet program that this council and prior councils approved about 2 years ago. We've been able to support either financially or in practice, in some cases extensively, in some cases with reimbursements, the efforts that some of these young men and women have gone through. And we're very proud of the program that even some of our own current firefighters did 20, 30, and 4 years ago. Noah, it's just a continuation of a great thing that's going on here in Gates Mills. Noah, would you take the oath of office by repeating after me? I, Noah Scanlon,
I, Noah Scanlon,
do hereby swear that I will support
do hereby swear that I will support
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Charter and ordinances of the Village of Gates Mills,
and the Charter and ordinance of the Village of Gates Mills,
and that I will honestly, faithfully, and impartially
that I will honestly, faithfully, and impartially
discharge my duties as firefighter,
discharge my duties as firefighter,
to which I have been appointed according to law
to which I have been appointed according to law
and to the best of my ability,
and to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. One picture of the parents. This is Anna, we're on this side, baby. Oh, step out, Kenny. You don't want to photo album. How about a round of applause? Also, a thank you to Noah's extended family, friends, and neighborhood. Looks like he's brought everybody here with him, and some of our firefighters as well. Thank you all for attending. It's great to see that kind of support. Next item of business, item number 4, pay ordinance number 1311 in the amount of $627,706.42. The document was sent to you in advance. Are there any questions on the pay ordinance?
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. If there are no questions, Roll call, please.
Groom.
Yes.
Greco.
Yes.
Monesco.
Yes.
Perez.
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. The mayor's report number 5, I have about a dozen items. We'll just rip through these and we'll take questions as we go. It's been a very busy month here. I want to start this off by just taking a minute on the 4th of July parade and celebration. The Improvement Society, particular attention and credit to their leadership. The Improvement Society puts on the parade. They fund majority of the parade. They organize the parade, and I was fortunate to attend probably 6 of their 12 meetings, which are meticulously documented in 6 to 7 to 8 pages of typed notes in terms of the order of the sequence, who's volunteering, what roles they have. It's fortunate that when we have a couple thousand people here within a 4-hour block, that nobody ends up in the hospital, nobody ends up in jail, nobody ends up in a ditch. They all have fun, and they all leave by 1 o'clock. And they've had a great, I'll call it a Norman Rockwell morning. So thank you in particular to the Improvement Society, who has led this for probably 50 to 60 years. And I happen to see Sean Riley walked in a few minutes ago. Sean, I know you well enough to know that you'll pass those congratulations and compliments on to your entire board and to Jim's and to Clark's team. We're fortunate this year, the parade volunteers and committee were extensive, and people continue to add how they can help. The village organizations participated with money and with floats and with manning the stands. The parade participants, everywhere from the dog walkers to the kids with the bikes to the fire truck drivers. It's a fabulous event. Even our law director came, which he has not done in the past because he wanted to ride in the hot air balloon. Unfortunately, he did not get enough nominations and did not qualify for that. I think we got our even up with lawyers. Anyways, we had the hot air balloons and the pilots and the honorees, in particular Bill Lavigna, one of our own residents who is a pilot of the balloon and who organized this for us as a volunteer on our behalf. I want to just thank the friends, the families, the neighbors that all came out, and in particular Clark Langmack, who for a number of years has led this parade effort. And before that, his mom and dad did that, and they taught him well. Let's hope we can do the next on the next 4th of July, next year just as well. A few other items on the pedestrian walking bridge going over River Road here. The bridge should be delivered on Thursday and installed on Friday. If that is different, Chris or Dave will let us know when they report. On the financial side, the 24 and 25 audits have been approved by the Auditor of State. I previously mentioned they were drafts. Those reports are available to council and they're available to the public. They all came back with what's called an unqualified opinion on a statutory basis, which is the highest level of assurance that you could receive. There were 2 small items on what are called management letter comments. These are checks and balances or documentation or something that they noted in doing their work. Those are usually written, and we've read through those, and they're of no serious consequence. As to a few items from last time, the snowplow ordinance, we were asked by one of our residents to see whether we could do some research now to see whether there's an ordinance to keep the snowplow from being pushed into the right of way. I think, Todd, someone from your office was going to look at those ordinances of some comparable villages and get back to us this fall. So thank you for that. Craig Steinbrink's Planning and Zoning Committee has agreed to take up the issue on the sign ordinance that was raised last week about illuminated signs. And I think that's on your agenda for this month, Craig. The Aging Well community is doing well. It's been organized for about 4 months. They would like a little bit more notoriety. We obviously have items in the stroll, items in the pink sheet, items to Gates Mills Connect. There'll be some postcard probably going out over the next month. Over the next week or two. It's going to be a while to get people to support and know that we're doing the Aging Well community. These are a combination of events that we're doing here locally as well as those sponsored by CPA. One thing that we are doing to start. And it came through the Aging Well Committee survey of about 9 months ago, is the idea of having a key box attached to your home that's locked, that would allow the firefighters, EMS fighters, or police department individuals to access your home should there be a call or an emergency and they need to get in. Those boxes have become pretty popular in other municipalities. They're about $35 to $40 a box to have it installed. There would be no cost to the village or the village taxpayers to do that. We think this is a nice way, with the response times that we have, to have safety vehicles dispatched immediately to locations and not have to wait for the police to come back with the key. And we have about 425, I think, homes of our 900 that have their keys on with us in City Hall, that requires us to go back and forth to get the key before you can go in the house. That 15 or 20 minutes, if it's a fire alarm or a smoke alarm or a medical alarm, could mean a big difference. So we'll be looking at that. Tom and Mike will have more write-ups on that. We'll share those with council over the next week or two. We also happen to I didn't write down the date, I'm sorry. We have, do you know the date of the August band concert offhand? Janet will find the date while we're talking about something else. We have our last summer event, the band concert, in August. I think it's the 16th. We'll do a better job getting that out to you. And then finally,
16th is a Sunday, I think.
16th is a Sunday, thank you. So this is, thank you, Janet, and Beth. So this is our band concert on the Village Green, no cost, tables will be set, music will be there, there's no cost. Bring your grandkids, bring your own kids, bring your neighbors and friends. It's kind of a Michael Bublé type of feel and music, and I think you'll enjoy yourself. And finally, on the 29th of July, we're having a town hall meeting. You'll get these in the mail tomorrow. This is what we promised back in January, February with regard to the conservation levy, that we would not just have a conversation on this and do some research, some reports, but we'd also have a town hall. We're fortunate to have engaged Tom Barris, who's a retired senior political correspondent for WKYC, as our moderator for the night. The town hall format will be conversational. There won't be for and against speeches. There'll be a description of what the levy's background is. There'll be comments on what it's done with the funds. And there'll be an opportunity for those in the audience to ask questions or to make their points of view. I'll kick the session off for about 10 minutes and describe the background and the format. And then Mr. Barris will run the session for us. So please mark next Wednesday, the 29th, between 6 and 8 in this town hall. Okay, I think the last item I had was Paul D. Corletto, who is a retired physician from the Cleveland Clinic, has participated actively in a number of the Aging Well community meetings. He's interested in joining the Aging Well Committee. I would like to appoint him to the committee and to have council's approval now of that appointment. The committee chairs, Jan and Joy, both believe that his participation has been wonderful so far. He's come up with some excellent ideas, and his position as a former physician is helpful to a lot of the committee members who are up in their years of age. May I have a motion? D. Corletto, yes. Thank you. May I have a second?
Yes, second.
Thank you, Karen. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Broom,
Yes.
Greco,
Yes.
UNESCO,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner. Yes. Young.
Yes.
Thank you all. Next item is the financial report. Going forward, we're going to follow a little bit of a new format on the financial report. Janet will still compile the report and is responsible for the numbers, the analysis, the narrative. Chuck Spear has volunteered to give the financial report in his role as our treasurer, and also Janet is, of course, doing double duty, taking notes. So as to leverage a little bit of our talent and rely on Chuck's analysis a bit, Chuck is going to go forward and make the financial report. Chuck?
You've all received the financials. It's a bit alarming, really, when you take a look at the difference between this year and last year. Revenues are flat, expenses are up, but in fact, it was anticipated, it was in the budget, and if you really look closely at the numbers, you see that we're doing better this year than the budget said we would. So there's nothing there to be concerned about. The traffic camera numbers are probably badly affected by the closing of Mayfield Road for 2 months. So that in the last period reported, if you look at the financials, the net was around 32%, where typically our net after expenses is more than 50. Those numbers are running well behind where the budget said they would be. So that's a concern. On the other hand, and thank you very much, residents, the personal income tax income is up. The people of Gates Mills are doing well. Thank you very much. The property taxes are basically flat. I did want to point out that as you, I'm sure you know, members of council, the Budget and Finance Committee works on the budget. They'll be starting fairly soon, I think, to put this together. And a lot of effort goes into it, but it doesn't get voted on by the council. It's presented to the council. So it seems to me, since there are no members of council on that committee, when that committee meets early on, being involved in that is probably a very good idea. What other comments I might have? I don't think I have others.
I think one of council at the last meeting asked if I was going to raise the yellow flag on the camera revenues and whether we would hit budget. And I think with the closing of Mayfield Road for the period of time and the slow start that we have, we'll probably be under last year's number. We will get some help this year with respect to the traffic cameras at St. Francis and the school zone enforcement there. And so that would, I think, mitigate some of that. But we will be down, even though last year in the second half, seasonally, our revenues in the second half were better than the first half. I think that's the summer months and the school months. Nothing that I would be alarmed at, but it is something that we just need to be aware of and make sure that we're respecting that in relation to our expenditures.
Steve, I think they were paving at the construction site by Caves yesterday. And then, it's closed again further down the road at Rock Haven. That one's going to be a little longer.
I just drove that way to get a haircut today, and I made it through without a ticket or a stop. So the roads are open, and you could speed if you wanted to. We don't want to do that in Chesterland, though. Chris, any perspective on I know it's not our jurisdiction, on the ODOT work on Mayfield in terms of timing? No. Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions for Chuck Spear?
They're storing their equipment at the top of Old Mill Road overnight throughout the length of this project. And that road's getting torn up a little bit. Has there been any talk with the state over fixing that up once they're gone and at their expense?
I don't think that's for that. Right, West Hill.
Asphalt line is done.
Mhm.
That was West Hill and Settlers Bridge, and Glenwood all got paved in the last week.
Right.
That was all running next.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is the clerk's report. Any report, Beth?
Janet prepared for you, the difference between suspending the rules and declaring an emergency. Sometimes it gets confusing.
I hope that helps. Thank you.
It helps me, thank you, because even after 2.5 years, I still get an elbow once in a while on the ribs when I do that incorrectly.
If you could also add on the difference between an ordinance and a resolution, I look it up almost every time.
Well, we will do that. Thank you, John. Okay, Police Department report, Chief Minicello?
The treasurer, don't pass me by, I have a treasurer's report too. I want to comment on the,
Oh, I'm
Are I
sorry.
next? Yeah. On the meeting that we had with Ancora. Ancora came in. We had two guests at the meeting. David Young was there and Dixon Morgan, came in and Ancora came with a rookie and two interns, and I treated the interns harshly, but other than that, I want you to know that the portfolio is looking in good shape. It certainly is in conformity with everything that's in the investment policy statement. The average rate of return now on the portfolio is 4.5%. We still have room to improve the portfolio over the next 18 months. We will be rolling off investments made during the COVID period that carry coupons of as low as 0.5%, 0.8%, 1.1 million of that will roll off. And at the current moment today, we would get 4.5% in treasuries. We would get about 5.4% in agencies. So that was not an official meeting of the Treasury Investment Board, so there wasn't a notice of it. But once we get the Treasury Investment Board staffed for a quorum, all of those meetings will be available to everybody in the public to attend, and I'll give you notice about it, and that's my treasurer's report.
Thank you. To close the book on the finances for the night, just a quick update that a small group of Dave Young and Chuck Spear and Janet have been working, putting together a 3 to 5 year financial plan. They've met 3 to 4 times. They have multiple spreadsheets and narratives to go with that, along with what looks to be maybe about a dozen or so recommendations. So I've not received that. That'll be forthcoming to me, I presume, over the next 2 weeks or so when it gets another level of polish. And will be very helpful as we enter the budget season in September to have the outstanding multi-year outlook. Okay, Police Department report, please. Mr. Minicello.
Thank you,
Chief.
Mayor, members of council. Everybody should have received a copy of my monthly report. I'd be happy to take any questions. I would just comment on, night shift was busy during the month of June. Couple of OVIs, crashes that we're working on, abandoned vehicles, a pursuit that originated in Honey Valley ended up here. So, pretty active for the road officers on night shift in the month of June, amongst their other duties and responsibilities, of course.
Chief, for the record, we are going effective with the school cameras on September 1 when school starts. Is that correct?
School does start, St. Francis does start on September 1st, and we have no reason to think that they.
Will the
We'll
cameras
ready to go
be
for that.
effective before that for the normal?
They should be.
Drivers?
They should be. They're not charged up yet. Cameras are installed. And in fact, we're working with First Energy on the charging of that, the connection with that. And, you know, my hope is by August 1st, they'll be on outside of school zone hours. But, you know, everything's out of our hands right now, but I'm led to believe that by August 1st, they'll be activated on or around August 1st, and then, you know, enforceable September 1 in addition to that.
Okay, and the conclusion has been that since the cameras, the signage has been up there for a number of years, including the school sign, we're not changing the school zone, we're not changing the hours of the school zone, that no additional advance notice is required.
We did have to make a couple of adjustments because the speed limit sign we didn't have one before the camera until today. So Service Department did put a 45 sign up today to make sure we were in compliance with what was required.
Great, thanks for that clarification. Any questions of the police chief?
Chief, I have two follow-up questions from our meeting last month. And one of them had to do with an issue that was brought up. It's actually state legislation that it's in the House and the Senate and may get passed with regard to speed cameras. And the fact that if there's no speed camera in your community now, you can start one with a vote of the residents. If you are renewing your contract, it needs to go to a vote. The mayor said that we had 2 years left on our contract. And I'm wondering, given, if there could be some collaboration to give us some sense of whether that or not that's going to pass, and whether we might want to take action to extend the contract that we have, perhaps with an out clause if we wanted to renew with another provider, but at least that would give us some time. This is an important source of revenue to us, and I wouldn't want the village to get caught unawares. So any
So as to
updates or-
as to the House bills and the Senate bills, we, the mayors and managers of Carrick County, are informed by an outside firm of the Ohio Municipal League that
Okay.
monitors that legislation and those developments, and that's
Good.
probably the best indicator, plus context with our law firm friends, on what might or might not happen with the law. So we're following that, and
Mhm.
we'll see what the advice is that they come up with. At this point, it's just keeping us posted.
Okay, all right, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Second is, there was a request at the last council meeting too, to collect information from the collection agency about tickets. I know that it's not started yet, so there's no information to collect yet. But is it your intent to share that information with council? It just is another line item perhaps with the grid we already have.
I suppose it's something we could. We haven't gotten that far yet. I would imagine we could, discuss that and see, what we wanted the report to look like. Sure.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Anything else?
My one comment on that would be I'd probably do a separate report, because what that would do is affect items in arrears, and on those line items, I'd probably keep it separate, and you can reference obviously the first one, but I would say rather than it modifying, yeah.
Thank you,
That-
Chief.
That'll conclude my report.
Service Director Dave Biggert, service report, please.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. You should have received a copy of my monthly report. I'm happy to answer any questions. If I could take a couple of minutes to share what I find some exciting news that I received. Last Friday, I received the 2025 annual residential recycling report from the Cuyahoga County Solid Waste District, and pleasantly surprised that Gates Mills, of 59 communities, we ranked second. Only one other community recycled more than we did. Our recycling rate for 2025 was 29%, and Lindale's 37%. So we were usually second from the bottom, I think. So the fact that we did that basically in 1 year just astonishes me. And I do think it's important to thank a couple people. The genesis for this change was from Jim Stafford and Jennifer Pinto. They came to us and said, gee, isn't there any way we can get rid of these crazy blue bags? And it was a really good time because we were getting ready to rebid the trash contract. So again, I want to thank Jean, because with her help, we sat with Joe, who I also want to thank, of Rumpke, and it took a lot of work and a lot of back and forth, but we figured out a way to do it, and ultimately it succeeded. So again, thanks to Jean and Jim and Jennifer and Joe. So we got a little more, we could be number one. So
Dave, does our recycling numbers count the cardboard that goes into because those things are usually
yes,
pretty full and
Yeah.
remarkably
yes,
organized.
yes.
I mean, for what they are.
Yeah, so Rumpke, we get a monthly report from Rumpke, how much has been recycled, how much has been disposed of as rubbish. We also get, I think, a quarterly report from the cardboard people. And then I try to calculate also, we don't do mulching or tree pickup, but usually every year in my report, I try to calculate how many trees we grind up, so we get credit for that. So I do try to look at everything, plus we got household hazardous, we got the computer roundup. So again, I mean, we've really made a big change, and to jump to number 2 is just, I wouldn't have expected that, to be honest with you. So well done to the villagers.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. Can you speak to how, if at all, we might be able to use that information for future negotiations with other companies or with Rumpke about our trash pickup rates? I know that is
I'd have
part of the calculation, but.
Yeah, I have to think on it. So the way we have to pick up both trash and recycling is what's so unique. Again, if we could do what every other community does, which is curbside with the big truck just going down the road like I have where I live, that would make a big difference. It's just not practical here. And so Rumpke has been set up with the pickup size vehicles. No one else is really fixed to do that, is the problem. And we started again, like a year before the contract was due, and I met with various different companies to try and get them, and none of them, the closest I got is someone said, well, I need the okay today that we're going to do a contract because I have to go order the pickups. I'm like, I can't do that. I don't have the authorization. You say, well, I got to order the pickups because it's going to take me a year to get them to do the service. So I'd have to see where we can use that leverage.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it made us a more attractive customer, I guess.
Right.
With any return on the recycling, but.
Certainly try to use it. Certainly something to think of and try and use. I don't disagree. Yeah. Yep.
Most of the waste companies have built large recycling plants, $100 million size plants. And so the more we can recycle, the more it feeds those plants, the more it stays out of landfills. Having been the second from the bottom versus the second from the top, we didn't have a very good argument, Megan, to be able to say, oh, geez, we don't have that much trash. No, we have a lot of trash because we didn't recycle anything, but for a little bit. Hopefully, if we can keep this up for the next year, a year and a half, when it comes down to the contract renewal in about 2 years, we'll be able to say we've reduced the amount of hard trash that goes into landfills by X%, and we deserve and have earned a better rate than what we were penalized for 2 years ago. That's not a promise, that's an expectation, but if we set the facts right and we track the numbers the way we do and keep making that play, perhaps we'll get some recognition of that. Thank you.
Great. Any other questions? That concludes my report. Oh, Chris is going to give you a little update on where we're at with the road program. Sorry. Yeah, okay.
Hopefully it's exciting. For the most part, we are probably about 80%, 75% done with the road program. We've completed all of our crack filling. We've completed all of our pavement striping on county roads. We've completed patching and resurfacing on West Hill, Settlers Ridge, and Glenwood. We did run into some additional repairs more than we anticipated on West Hill. So we discussed internally and opted to forego the chip seal and fog seal on Beverly and Chelsea this year, and we'll put them at the top of the list for next year. So we didn't need to come back for any extra money. We found it within the contract just by deferring some work to next year. Next week, the reconstruction of Colvin will start. That'll be pretty disruptive. It's a narrow road. We're replacing a full-width asphalt pavement with a full-width concrete pavement to make it tougher for the buses with the bus traffic from the school. We've sent resident notices out. The school's been involved in the discussion. We've got the timeline for the project compacted as much as we can. If anybody has any problems or questions during the reconstruction of that road, call Dave or myself. We will do everything we can to accommodate. But hopefully we'll be starting on the 29th, which is next Wednesday, and we'll be completed within about 2 weeks, maybe slightly more depending on weather. That is the update. Anybody has any questions?
Dave, you worked hard. Chris, the work on West Hill was a little more problematic once we took off the first surface.
Correct. The first, I don't know, 500 feet of the road is concrete, so it's asphalt over concrete. We encountered a number of bad concrete areas that were hidden underneath the existing asphalt surface, so we had to break those out, saw cut them and take them out. That was part of it. That we encountered more full-depth repairs a little bit further north on the road than we anticipated, so.
So as a result, there's going to be some additional dollars being spent for that secondary work, and we've decided to
Not
postpone 1 year.
Yeah, postpone 1 year for Chelsea and Beverly, which we're gonna get some minor patching and chip seal and fog seal. So those will be done first thing next year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
you, or Dave sent a notice to those residents on those 2 streets?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
They
the
may
only
hear,
real
so let's
notice
just
they
send a
got
note out.
was
An email. Thank you.
construction upcoming signs and bump signs that were placed a month before construction, and those have now gone away.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions of Chris or the road program? Okay, thank you. Chief Majeski, Fire Department report, please.
I'll start over again. Thank you, Mayor. Thank your council. You've gotten a copy of my written report. I would like to point out that we finished our regional water supply drills with area communities as part of training. And on the back side of the report, I took a page out of an article that was talking about ambulance costs and the history. It was really a great report. It's like 28 pages, but I thought just a few points to bring out. The average transport cost nationwide is $2,673 to provide. Medicare only pays about $329 on average for that. The other thing is the last line on the first paragraph there, a practice known as balance billing, but with Medicare and Medicaid, balance billing is illegal. So technically we can't do that. We can't go back and charge those folks. So I just thought with all the talk we've had about ambulance costs and ambulance billing and everything else, that this was part of it. If anybody wants to read the full 28-page history, I can make it available to you. The last thing I'd like to bring up is I promised council that I would keep them apprised of the hydrant repairs. As of this date, of the original 50 hydrants that were reported that needed to be replaced, 24 of them have been replaced. A number of other hydrants have had minor repairs. We've added about another 11 hydrants that need to be replaced to that list. So I feel that Cleveland Water is making quite a dent in these replacement and repairs. And hopefully by the fall, most of this work will be completed.
It's
Does
nice to
anybody-
drive up Cedar Road and not see 7 hydrants in a row with red plastic lids on them. So thank you, Tom, for bird dogging that.
Does anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the report of the Ad hoc Levy Committee. As you know, this committee was formed early in this year, consisting of Dave Young, Sandra Turner, and myself to look at the levy fund history to identify the needs of the conservation levy going forward and to make other comments. That document has been summarized in a 2-page report, which was delivered to council this weekend, and which, if we haven't made it available on the website, we'll do that tomorrow morning. I've asked Dave Young as one of the members to comment on the committee report, and then Sandra can add any comments to that. David?
To try and simplify the conversation around the levy, we asked ourselves 5 basic questions. What's the purpose of the levy? Has it historically been successful? What's the benefit of having the public-private partnership between the village and the Gates Mills Land Conservancy? What makes us qualified to manage the funds? And is the levy still necessary? 35 years ago, the village voted the levy in for the first time for the public purpose of conserving, retaining, protecting, and preserving land, water, forest, or wetland areas in this municipality predominantly in their natural, scenic, open, or wooded condition, or is suitable for habitat for fish, plants, or wildlife, including the acquisition of such real property or interests therein as may be necessary to carry out that purpose. The funds go to the village, and it's up to the village to determine how they are spent. And at that time, 35 years ago, the Gates Mills Land Conservancy was formed for the purpose of helping with this process. And in the language of the levy, it specifically states that the village council may enter into such agreements as it may deem necessary with nonprofit organizations organized for the aforesaid purpose, including the Gates Mills Land Conservancy. Has it been successful? Over 35 years, the village and the Gates Mills Land Conservancy has protected over 750 acres of property in our village at an average cost per acre of $9,700. That's a bargain by any measure. The land that's been protected and continues to be stewarded directly impacts our property values. It benefits everyone here in Gates Mills Village, not only in beautifying our village, but in protecting our investment in our properties here. The tree canopy has begun now into a 3-year pilot project to remove invasive materials in 68 acres of the village and in Gates Mills Land Conservancy property. Additional 30 to 40 acres are added each year. This effort's resulted in more land being cleared of invasives by private property owners, the garden club, the metro parks at their own expense. And I think it's safe to say that Gates Mills today would look very different if it weren't for the villagers' long support of this levy and the hard work of the Land Conservancy. There is a strong benefit to having this public-private partnership. There are funds that are available only to public organizations, and there are other funds that are only available to private organizations. Together, the two of us can have access to more funds than either would be able to access independently. In addition to that, the Gates Mills Land Conservancy is run by 15 village residents, volunteers, who are dedicated to the proper disposition of these funds. And they're able to do much more and much more effective work than the council could if it was left to us alone. I think 35 years ago, it was a stroke of genius to put together the Conservancy because of the ability to access more funds and because it's run by village residents as well as village residents appointed by the mayor. They are ideally suited to know which of their neighbors are in a position to consider donating or selling their land to the Conservancy or putting an easement on it for the benefit of the village. And in knowing those people, know best how to present that argument to them for the success of all of us. Is the levy still necessary? There are still over 100 vacant land parcels in the village, 44 of which are greater than 10 acres. None of these are protected in any way. And over time, we would expect these parcels to be subdivided or developed if they're not preserved by a conservation easement or acquired by the Conservancy. In addition, the continued work to remove invasive plants and put new plantings, fence repairs, other improvements on the amenities for the property that's currently owned by the Conservancy or under easement. There's also annual stormwater control programs, channel clearing and natural stabilization projects, flooding mitigation that goes on every year to protect our public property. In going through the funds, we decided that the funds should follow the tasks. And we have suggested that the funds for the next levy be split 80% to the Gates Mills Land Conservancy and 20% to the Village Council. The village money would be spent primarily on the remediation projects and an arborist to help with future planning. There's a little bit of money in there for the ongoing Village Tree City USA designation. But the preponderance of the money is for stewardship of the land that we own and keeping the invasives under control. The Conservancy has that same task for the property that they own. They also have an ongoing legal expense for deed restrictions and documents for conserving 3 properties a year and turning them over to a new legal entity that would allow public access. Jamie might be able to explain that better. I'm sure the way I worded that is incorrect. But most of the money is set aside for a war chest for the acquisition of additional property or purchasing easements on existing property. That's it.
Thank you, David. Sandra, do you care to add anything?
No, I think that report well documents our discussion. Thank you.
Okay. So that report is being presented to and received and accepted by council as a submission. Okay. Are there any other council members that wish to comment on the report or generally on the levy? We're going to get to that in a few minutes. John?
So, I want to give I do want to give a story because it's personal to me, and I think it will be a little bit of an education to everybody who's been here a while. When my wife and I moved into this village, we moved into paradise. I mean, this place is absolutely incredible. Look around, you've never seen anything like this before. We're fortunate enough to have 2 properties. One of those properties in the back actually goes down a ravine and touches up against the river. And walking back there, it's like a park. You can look from both sides. You see the river going on forever, and it's absolutely amazing. So my wife and I talked and said, we should look at taking the 17.5 acres that's the ravine going up to the water. We should look at giving that to the Land Conservancy. This is a few years ago, so my wife does all the philanthropy in the house, so she went and found out that it's going to sound silly, but this is part of the story. There's 2 Land Conservancies. We only knew of the Western Reserve Land Conservancy, and we've known about them for many years. We love the work they do. They're fantastic, and we have a long-standing relationship for them for as long as I could remember. So we found the Gates Mills Land Conservancy, and it's going to sound silly, but it's absolutely true. We thought they were like subordinate to the Western Reserve Land Conservancy, and then we found out that wasn't the case. So we read their 990s. We looked at the verbiage on both of them and said, they're very similar, and I get it that all the classifications are the same and everything. So we called them both out and interviewed them and showed them the land and started the process of like, okay, what does this mean? What's the long-term effect of doing this? So a few months later after that, we went to the ballot box, and there is a conservation levy on the ballot. So at the time, there were 5 of us that were eligible to vote in the village, and so we read the placard that gave the entire verbiage of the conservation fund. And I will tell you that, myself, and I'm 99.9% sure the other 4 people that voted with me all voted for the conservation levy, 100%. who wouldn't vote for a conservation levy? I mean, it seems silly, you know, like everyone who's against conservation. But I can tell you now that empirically, we didn't know what we were voting for. And that doesn't mean I would change voting, but I can tell you we didn't know. So fast forward to 1 month ago, sitting in this chair, I'm on council, and reading one of that very levy that I didn't know what I was voting for years ago, comes up, and we have reading one, and I am supposed to make a decision and start the fiduciary process of saying, is this the right thing to put on the ballot? But the only information I have, the only information given at reading one is, well, it was 95 for a long time. Then there was talk of it, you know, going down to 0, then it ended up at 50-50, and now there's talk of 80-20. But I didn't get any other information, and that's at a first reading. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to roll up my sleeves, and I'm actually going to go out and do my own research. And I will tell you for the record, I don't think that's right. No individual citizen of the village or someone on council should have a first reading of something without what you just gave us. But that doesn't sit well with me. I shouldn't have to go out and do the extensive research. I should have something that's a launch point to do that research. But I did it. So I went and got every piece of information I could from Janet, read every bit of it. I met with anybody that would talk to me. So I spent more time at Eddie's Cup in the last month than I have since they've been open, talking to anybody that will tell me about it. I talked with Sandra. I talked with Scott for 3 hours. And that doesn't mean anything because me and him can talk about office furniture for 3 hours. So take that for what you will. But then the mayor was gracious enough to sit down with me and give me the information from the beginning. And this is where it starts to get important. One of the things that was fascinating is that he was in the room when it happened. He was there in 1988. And this is important and embarrassing, but the year that I graduated from high school, he was in the room and he knew about the formation of the Land Conservancy when it turned from being on Gates Mills to being a 501c3. He knew about when the conservation levy went in to support that. And the story is fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And I do encourage, and I'm so glad that you said that you're going to do that on the 29th to give that history, because I left there like, you know, dumbfounded. It's an amazing process that actually happened. And thank you for giving me that information. But where my research landed was really clear. The levy exists. The levy and the conservancy exist to buy land so developers can't. And those that are in the know, those that kind of knew this from the very beginning of this are on one side, and then those of us doing research kind of on the other side going, okay, and that's historically what the vast majority of it has been used for, the absolute huge portion of the funds. And this is the important part. That's absolutely fine. It worked. I mean, look around this place. It's fantastic. It worked. It absolutely worked. Does it still need to work? Sure, maybe. I don't know. But we need to have the courage to put the correct verbiage on the levy. Because I will tell you that my wife and I did research, and yet we still didn't know what we were voting for. And I only know what we were voting for after sitting on this council, and that's not right. I shouldn't have been put in that position, and nor should my neighbors be put in that position. The newbies that come on board. I say newbies, it's been like 15 years. But so anyway, if you think that it's clear, you just read it, and I will tell you that the word acquisition is a subordinate clause in the 70-word sentence that includes fish and wildlife in there. And the only time the Gates Mills Land Conservancy is mentioned is that we may give to an organization like them should council deem to do that. And that is nothing to be ashamed of. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that it's not clear that what the tax levy is going for. So then, that brings me to my final point, which is this flyer that came out to everybody's mailbox this weekend. So in the course of a week, the Gates Mills Land Conservancy rallied the troops and put together this incredible document, got into everybody's mailbox in Gates Mills. Everybody. It was in everybody's mailbox at Gates Mills. And while I didn't expect to be featured in it, it still has so much great information, and I'm so happy to have this. But the one thing that made my heart stop is that this came to every single person in the village, everybody. It's a fantastic, absolutely once in a lifetime ability to have a fundraising effort, and not one word says, please donate. There's not an envelope, not a membership card, nothing, not one word. Instead, on the back, it tells us to email the council people sitting around this table, of which, for the record, I have not gotten one email. And I mention this because this is 35 years of living off of a tax. It puts them in a position in such a way that fundraising doesn't even come into mind when you put a mailer in every single person's mailbox. And my goal is not to say, it's not that there's something wrong with the organization or the levy, it's that the process is broken. We created this. We have an organization that didn't think to do a fundraiser at the exact same time that they did this. Now, my proposition is just to say, let's unwind that. I want the Land Conservancy to have it in their DNA to ask for support from their neighbors, so that it's right there in every word that they say. Tin Cup out there going, hey, we need some money. You need to help us out. That's what 501c3s do. That's what I think unwinds this entanglement that we have. And I think it's their obligation to do such a thing. Thanks.
Thank you, John. Karen, I believe you have some comments?
Yes, thank you. I asked the mayor for some time so that I could address council, the mayor, and especially the residents. I've learned a lot these past 2 months. I too had to do the same education process that John did because I didn't know. I am truly a newbie. I had to educate myself, and I'm sure some of the things I'm going to say today will educate the residents about what really goes on in this process. I think we're moving too fast. I think having that first reading last month was not really a first reading at all, and it caught a lot of us off guard. I am not against the Gates Mills Land Conservancy at all, and I want to say that again. I am not against the Gates Mills Land Conservancy. What I am against is using tax dollars to fund their mission. That is wrong. And as far as I'm concerned, this is the beginning of the process to end that program. This levy got on the ballot and has been automatically renewed for all these years. Automatically. I don't know if there's questions asked or whatever, but I'm not a sheep. I don't follow along just for the ride. I have to do my own research, and there's some problems here. With the 5-year operating agreement that council agreed to with the Land Conservancy, that ends, by the way, at the end of this year. It's been 5 years. The Gates Mills Land Conservancy was required to come before this body in January and in July and make a report as to its activities and its finances. This is our July meeting. I don't see the Gates Mills Land Conservancy on the agenda, and so that's an issue for me. This 5-year agreement also said that the Gates Mills Land Conservancy was refocusing its mission towards stewardship and away from acquisition, and that they would establish an endowment. That $700,000 was what they said 5 years ago would suffice, according to their concerns, and make them a perpetual organization. On their 990, we only have the 2024 990. The 2025 hasn't been filed. There's a box that they have to check if they have an endowment. That box is not checked. This is 2024, and this agreement was signed 5 years ago. I think that's an issue, and I'd like to know the answer to that. Most interestingly, in that 5-year agreement, the village said that at the end of the 5-year period, which is where we are now, that they hoped and they wished that the Conservancy would have sufficient funds set aside to carry it on in perpetuity. And I say that they do. We were presented this report by the Ad hoc Levy Committee, and so when I got it, I was quite surprised. And I have some questions to be directed to the law director. I need to know, and I think we all need to know, whether the Ad hoc Levy Committee's preparation of this report complies with Ohio's Open Meetings Act. There are 2 Ohio Supreme Court cases on the books, one just decided in March of this year, that would say that maybe it doesn't. So I would like an answer to that, please. I would also ask the law director to state whether preparing and circulating this report using village resources and time complies with Ohio Revised Code Section 9.03C. I don't know the answer to that, but I'd like to. Third, if the Ad hoc Levy Committee meetings were in violation of the law, I am formally requesting that the minutes of every Ad hoc Levy Committee meeting be prepared if they were not and submitted to council before we can do anything. This report also asks voters to approve an additional $1.3 million. When combined, the Conservancy and the council have $1.5 million unspent. I think that is untenable. And the report doesn't answer the real question before this council: why residents' tax dollars should keep being the default source of funding for conservation rather than the Gates Mills Land Conservancy's own membership, donors, and grants. Every charity has to make their case to their own supporters, and this charity should not be exempt. I thought this report that the Gates Mills Land Conservancy sent out was misleading in certain ways. And it bemoans the fact that over 70% of the land in Gates Mills remains unprotected. That means that 30% of the land in this village is protected, either owned or conserved by the Conservancy, the village, and other entities. When is that going to stop? What's the end? I'd like to know that. Every acre that we add to that column is an acre that stops contributing to what is the cost to run this village. We run a fairly tight financial ship here, but we are not, have a lot of cash. We have to watch what we're spending and where it comes from. At some point, conserving land stops being stewardship and starts being something we do to ourselves. I respect the Gates Mills Land Conservancy and what they've done over 35 years, but it is a charity. And this council's job, our fiduciary duty, is to represent the taxpayer, not to backfill a charity's budget with taxes instead of donations. For all of these reasons, I'm asking my colleagues not to continue to rush through this. If we don't get it on the ballot in November, perhaps we can get it on the ballot in some other time. But there's certain things that we all need to know, and the law director will provide some of those. We owe it to the residents. We have a fiduciary duty to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any council members that wish to make any other points on this? We do have a town hall meeting scheduled for next Wednesday, and we can go through these items as well. Perhaps some of the questions that you have will have answers by then. And those that we don't, we'll catalog and get answers to.
I just have one quick thing. And this is to John, which people often overstate that the purpose of the Conservancy is to prevent developers from coming in. I'm paraphrasing, but and that's not the case. I mean, the Conservancy, at least in my time with them, has passed on lots of properties, has said, looked at it and said, no, it doesn't fit, it doesn't do this, doesn't have a conservation value that makes it worth pursuing. Conservancy really has tried to preserve primarily properties that are along the river and help protect the river. Central Corridor, the Sherman Road Preserve, have a Kumoff property at the end of River Oaks, Park property acquired in between or after the purchase of those two, has really tried to buy properties that have a conservation value. Some of the properties that the Conservancy owns are properties that are donated by people, and when someone's donating a piece of property to you, it might not be a property right along the river, but properties, in the Cape Perkins Preserve off of Mainfield Road, property that runs down to the river, right up against the river. And so it's a common overstatement. It's common. People say it all the time.
All the time.
I'll tell you,
All the time.
even at the Conservancy board, there are times where I'd say, oh boy, that is not the reason why the Conservancy exists. And I would find myself correcting people saying that. But
Scott,
it
excuse me.
does have the effect, though, obviously, every property. But hopefully, and the outlook when it comes to looking at values and looking at what value everyone in the village gets out of the Conservancy is that a well-run land conservation program enhances the value of everything else, of everyone else's properties, and enhances the beauty of living here. And John, I had that 88 was graduation of high school.
Yeah.
So this would have been sometime between 81 and 86, my college years. I remember getting off the freeway, coming up from Ohio State, driving down Wilson Mills. As soon as I got into the village and I'm coming down the hill there and along the river, and I thought to myself, after coming from my apartment, which was in the middle of an alley, if that, at Ohio State, thinking, I live in a park. This is unbelievable. And that's something worth saving. And how we get there, I think we have fair opinions about how we get there. And the thing about it's done to keep developers out, that is not exactly entirely correct.
But with the funding, the one thing I'll say, and this, I didn't put this in, but my wife and I were interviewing people from the Gates Mills Land Conservancy. They were on my property. They saw my house. They knew about us, and they never knocked on my door for $1. And that is absolutely it's I don't have words. Like, there should have been a I love your thing about the tin cup because I actually want to give you like $500 now to pay for the fire engine. I love the analogy, but come ask. You know, like I shouldn't have to ask a charity to come ask me for money. It is shocking to me that that is the case that we're in, and nobody has knocked at my door. Western Reserve did. Guarantee you that. And so, you know, yeah, hint, hint, there's a doorbell.
Okay, any other comments? Scott, are you done? So while there are half a dozen members of the Land Conservancy Board sitting in the gallery there, here's how we'll proceed. The business of the village comes first, and that is usually what's at the council table and on the agenda. There's a section at the end of the meeting where we have comments from the audience. And I would ask Jamie, you and your members, if you have comments at that time, to stay with us as we get through the rest of the business of the village. And if you care to make a comment at that point, that would be the appropriate time. Is that all right with everyone? Are there any other comments from council? So I'm going to do this. I'm going to.
I did want to make a comment as a former member, and I know there are others in the audience. I guess examples or the implications that I think both you, Karen, and John made were that the oversight of the Land Conservancy has not been very scrupulous by this body. And the fact that maybe some reports weren't made on time at a given date. I guess I would say that as a member representing the village on the council, there are 5 of us appointed by the mayor who are at every board meeting and look at the budget and are aware of the marketing plan, the application for grants, everything that the Land Conservancy is doing with regard to the management of its properties, conserving them now with conservation easements, getting donations from villagers. And the fact, John, that they haven't approached you directly is unfortunate, but I don't think it indicts the whole marketing program.
But it does.
Let me finish. The fact, there have been some times when there wasn't a report to council at a specific time.
This month.
But sometimes there is a report that's been offered. It's not this time, but because of the agenda of the council, it's been deferred for another time, or it's been accepted and given to council without an actual report. Should that be bolstered? Yes, and there are other things I think through this discussion that will come out that will be important. But I don't want to leave the impression that, that the organization is, again, not on its own very scrupulous about how it spends its money and, from the oversight that we have with by the council. But go ahead.
Okay, we're going to move to item 14 on the agenda and jump over 13 temporarily, because we've just spent a better part of 30 to 45 minutes on the Conservancy. Let's just take up the item. On second reading, Sandra, this is your item, ordinance 2026-31. Do you want to take it from here?
That's one sentence.
An ordinance providing for the submission to the electors of the Village of Gates Mills a proposed amendment to the charter of the Village of Gates Mills to renew for a period of 5 years the existing 1 mil tax levy for the public purpose of conserving, retaining, protecting, and preserving land, water, forest, open, or wetland areas in this municipality, predominantly in their natural, scenic, open, or wooded condition, or as suitable habitat for fish, plants, or wildlife, including the acquisition of such real property or interest therein as may be necessary to carry out that purpose, and declaring an emergency.
Do I have a motion to suspend the rules requiring 3 separate readings on 3 separate days? Is there a motion to suspend the rules?
Does that mean that we won't have a third reading?
That's correct.
Who made that motion?
I'm asking for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, David. Is there a second on the motion to suspend the rules?
Second.
Thank you, Scott. Any further discussion on the suspension question?
I guess I have to ask why.
It's their choice.
Why?
There still will be discussion. There'll be the town hall meeting. We have 4 months to discuss this. This just is a question of, do we want one more time, one more reading to put it on the ballot? Roll call, please.
Wait, the discussion on that is, this is wrong. Like, there's 3 readings and there's no emergency here. The emergency is at the next
There's a
time.
motion and a second to suspend the rules. Am I correct, Todd?
Correct, but it is a time for discussion of that motion.
Which is what we're doing now.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I'm very surprised that would be done right now, given the fact that this is an issue that does nothing but need to be discussed. So I'm asking why you're making that motion.
I don't think it's our responsibility to decide this for the villagers. I think it's important that this get on the ballot and we let the villagers vote for themselves.
I think it's our fiduciary duty not to put it on the ballot. This is a tax.
I
So-
understand.
Roll call.
Broom,
Yes.
Greco,
No.
Onesco,
No.
Perez.
I feel like I have some additional questions about suspending the rules. And I think that I'm going to say no, because I think that we should wait for the town hall to happen.
Steinbrink,
No.
Turner,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
The motion does not pass.
correct.
Correct? Okay, so this has been through the second reading. It'll be on the third reading at the next council meeting. Thank you all for the discussion and your points. Next item is item 2026-35, an ordinance to amend the annual appropriation ordinance to increase certain, now, let's keep moving. To increase certain appropriations and other expenditures of the village for the fiscal year ending December 31, 26. This is the item to fund the stairs at the Arboretum. I think when we presented this at the last meeting, we did that as part of 3 motions that were done by Siteworks bid. And we thought it would be helpful to provide some additional information. So we've provided the bid as well as the pictures that show the condition of the stairs and the unsafe condition that they are in.
I can tell you that I walk down there all the time and we gotta fix these steps. I mean, we gotta fix these steps.
Okay? Are there any questions on that? Chris Courtney's here. He conducted the review of the various bids that came in and discussed it specifically with Siteworks. If there's no questions, I would appreciate a motion, accept a motion to suspend the rules that require 3 readings on 3 separate days.
I would move that we suspend the rules for ordinance number 2026-35.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Broom,
Yes.
Greco,
Yes.
Onesco,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Steinbrink,
Yes.
Turner, Young.
Yes.
I would move that we approve ordinance number 2026-35 and ordinance to amend the annual appropriations ordinance to increase certain appropriations and other expenditures, Village of Gates Mills, Ohio, for the fiscal year ended December 31st, 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Karen. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Broom,
Yes.
Greco,
Yes.
Onesco,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Steinbrink,
Yes.
Turner, Young.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next is item 2026-36. Dave Bickert still here to answer questions if need be. This is a resolution authorizing participation in ODOT's road salt contract awards for 2026. Dave, would you just add a couple comments on the contract? We have it in front of us, but how it works with us and ODOT and the providers of the salt?
So the way it works, is the information comes out, we have to submit our tonnage request to ODOT. Once they compile all that, then they send it out to bids, to the various contractors and then receive the bids. So we won't know the price. I think they've received the bids, they're tabulating it. So I would hope to know within the next couple of weeks, the price. But this is the authorization I need to get to them. I'm a little behind on getting this in front of you. Usually we do this a little earlier, but I would need this approval in order to get it to ODOT.
Any questions on how that contract works? Okay. So I need a motion to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings on 3 separate days.
So moved.
Thank you, Scott. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, John. Any discussion on the motion to suspend the rules? Roll call, please.
Broom,
Yes.
Greco,
Yes.
Monesco,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner, Young.
Yes.
I would move approval of resolution number 2026-36, authorizing participation in the ODOT road salt contracts awarded in 2026.
Second.
Thank you. Is there a second? Is that
Second.
you, Megan? Thank you. Any conversation? Roll call, please.
Broom,
Yes.
Greco,
Yes.
Monesco,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner, Young.
Yes.
Okay, at this point, we're going to, I'm sorry, I was reminded we jumped over number 13. Thank you, Janet. This is a third reading. Karen Greco, ordinance 2026-25, please.
Yes, this is an ordinance to change the section 15504 investment policy to remove the Treasury Investment Board. It is my understanding that this Treasury Investment Board had not been organized, had not been appointed. And I did have a question to Chuck. Did you say that you were naming people to this board?
No, I have no authority to do that. That authority rests with the mayor. or
Okay.
President Pro Tem of Council.
Okay, all right, thank you. So that is the motion.
Okay. A little bit of further background on this. Karen had made that motion a meeting or two ago. In that intervening time, the law directors provided some information on what the roles and responsibilities of the board members would be. I've also talked to 2 council members who would be interested in sitting on that board if the board continues to exist. And we've had several council people who like the fact that there is an investment board, that despite the fact that we have a hired outside professional, there also are members of our council or our community that could provide advice and perspective.
We do have the investment policy statement that not only is Ancora bound by, but we are. So I feel that it's unnecessary and duplicative.
Okay.
Did we read this twice or did we
Yes.
you in?
This is the third reading.
This is third reading.
Oh, I
I
thought.
don't remember reading.
Yeah, I thought maybe we continued it because we.
No, this is the third reading.
Mr. Mayor, are we, please? Yeah, I got the impression, when it was on first reading, I was not here last month, but there were a couple members of council that expressed, I think, a desire to continue to have a Treasury Investment Board, if only to be an advisory board to the treasurer. And so, I've worked with Chuck a little bit. And with the mayor. And I did speak to Sandra, a month or so ago. And I have at least put together a draft for discussion with the treasurer and the mayor. Some role that the Treasurer Investment Board would have on either an advisory position for the treasurer, or maybe something more than that. So I guess I leave it up to council to decide whether you want to pass this tonight to eliminate it entirely, or I can come back with an ordinance next month, a proposed ordinance, and I can get it out way ahead of the meeting so you can review it and decide whether you want to move forward with something on a more advisory position or more than that.
Karen, your call.
Well, this is the first I'm hearing of it, so I don't mind hearing additional information. It just seemed to me that the board wasn't being used, which means that it might not be.
It was used most of last year. Two of the members resigned and we
Oh,
didn't fill those spots.
okay. And it was,
And there was lack of clarity on what the roles of those members were.
so I don't mind getting additional information.
Okay, so whether that's a third reading or that's a continuance, what is it called for the minutes? We're going to get better information and bring it back next meeting.
You can hold it on third reading. Okay. You don't have to move forward with it. My concern was in the ordinance itself, it provides for the board, but it doesn't
Yeah.
provide anything with respect to what the authority and duties of the board are. So a lot of communities have the boards, and they are an oversight board, or they're an advisory board, or they're both, so.
And would Chuck have to go to that board for every decision?
Well, if it's an advice, not necessarily, do they have to go?
But-
Kind of a good recommendation that you and Karen and Chuck work on this and get it to us,
Sure.
so that you know in advance what's going on.
Sure. I mean,
And
good.
Chuck, I know that you will do this in a heartbeat. If you could just put a one pager in there as to what your opinion is on it, that would be fantastic. And
I can do
He's
that.
given- He's
I can
given
do that now.
he's given his opinion.
that way I can remember it.
Because this has gone on for a very long time, that we should look at the ordinance, and the ordinance says council shall appoint at least 2 of its members. You could do that today and not in any way prejudice what you're going to do later. Now, the truth is, I've had my quarterly meeting with Ancora, so there's no sense of urgency here. But I just want to point out that if you were to appoint 2 members, you could still change it in any
Right.
way that you want.
This is, if I recall, this is when you said, I don't care which way you decide, but make a decision as to whether or not you're going to have other people. If I'm remembering right from a few months ago, I think so.
And I still believe that.
Yeah.
Although having David Young at my meeting with Ancora and having Dixon Morgan there made that a better meeting. So I'm perfectly
I can see
amenable
that.
to having consultation on that board.
Yeah, I
And-
could see that.
And maybe another, I mean, part of the discussion is, does it need to be council members? That's maybe
Well,
something
I
for you to.
understand that, but the idea that there are 2 members of council here, I think had a purpose. And that is, the treasurer is watching the portfolio manager. The council members are watching the treasurer in this process. And when the council meets, 2 members of council have been there and can say to council, the chairman is making us salute when we come into the room. Let's get rid of him. And that's all council's prerogative.
Other than Dave Young, who is going to serve if we do this?
I asked Megan to serve in that role and she was willing to do that.
Okay.
So these are all good items. Let's,
Could be other people. My only hesitancy is a lot of smart people in the village.
Yeah, Yeah,
Get
why
them
is
to
it
give
council?
their
Yeah.
input.
Yeah, doesn't.
Karen, it's your motion, so with your approval, can we take this for the next 30 days and come back to, with a better document?
Yes. What do I need to say?
Yes.
Yes. I make a motion to,
The consensus is to keep it on third reading. You agree with that?
yes.
Thank you. Okay. At this point, there's a matter that we believe we need advice of legal counsel for.
So I would make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss the acquisition of property for public purpose and to obtain confidential legal advice from the village law director.
Need a second to the motion, please? Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Broom,
Yes.
Greco,
Yes.
UNESCO,
Yes.
Perez.
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner, Young.
Yes.
For the benefit of the audience, will be about 30 minutes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mike here.
That's correct. Yeah, I'm not gonna be.
Yeah, right?
Okay, we will reconvene the meeting of the Gates Mills Town Council, Village Council. And the executive session. At this point, we're going to add to the agenda resolution number 2026-37. I'll turn this over to Scott Broom.
Briefly, this is the agreement culminating several years of negotiation to construct a waste treatment pump station on Hunt Club property that will be paid for by Hunt Club. At high in turned out Hunt Club ability to stand. The funding for this project is entirely from the Ohio Department of Public Works grant, $200,000. Then money paid for by turned out costs. replacement of facilities as they wear out in the future. It also provides some protections or some additional protections in the form of a deed restriction concerning zoning and the ability of, or at least the right of notification and offer for the village should the club property ever go up for sale. This has been the product of quite a few meetings with the club, the mayor, Todd, and a lot of back and forth. What this does is it takes a system that the club's operating now, an on-site wastewater treatment system that is not functioning very well, and it gets them tied into a system that's working well, and it protects the river. And this is something that really needs to be done. It provides a revenue stream to the village, and it gets the business of treating the sanitary sewer, their waste off of the Hunt Club's plate and lets them go be a club. And I think it's good for the club. It's good for the village. And in the end, it's a win-win for everybody. It's only positive for the village here. So with that, I would ask that I would make a motion that we suspend the rules. And so that we can vote on this. There's a time frame sometime in August
45 days from July 2nd, we're required to sign the grant.
to accept the grant. And that's going to expire before our next meeting. So with that, I would again make a motion to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings for resolution number 2026-37.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on the suspension motion? Roll call, please.
Broom,
Yes.
Greco,
Yes.
Vanesco,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Young.
And before I make a motion to approve, I also want to put in here the reason for the people in the audience who were in executive session is we're going to be acquiring permanent easements from the Hunt Club on their property so that we can access it. So we're acquiring land in the process here and acquisitions of land, things of that nature. And we had to, this is run up to the last minute, and we needed to talk with the law director about certain changes that were made in this document yesterday and today, and make sure that all of the council members had the benefit of consulting with the law director about the effect of those and the legal implication of those. That's why we were in executive session. So with that, I would move approval of resolution number 2026-37.
Is there a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Craig. Any discussion on the motion? Roll call, please, Beth.
Broom,
Yes.
Greco,
Yes.
Vanesco,
Yes.
Perez,
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner,
Yes.
Young.
Thank you all. Item 18 is council discussion. Are there other items that council wishes to discuss?
I have 2. I know we had a robust discussion earlier in the meeting about the conservation levy. I think there's 2 things that we can pretty easily clear up now. One is that I don't want residents to walk away with the implication that the Land Conservancy doesn't conduct fundraising. Because I received an envelope in the mail not more than 2 months ago. I think they send those out maybe twice a year. So I don't want that to be something that residents walk away with. And also, Jamie, I think you were here in February, right? So January is probably a really busy meeting with all of us getting sworn in.
January, we actually asked them to wait until February.
Yeah. So I think the important part of that is the cadence, which I think is about every 6 months. So hopefully in August, we can get a report. But that was my assumption why we didn't do January, was because of all the things that were happening then. So I don't think it's a lack of trying for the
No, it
reporting.
should be in February's minutes.
The other thing is really easy and fun. September 12th, we'll be hosting our second annual 5K in the village. This is something the elementary school did in partnership with the village last year. It'll be at 9 a.m. and there will be some Gates Mills Connect emails going out, and I'll also send the flyer to all of you. We hope you can be there. We had 150 runners last year. It's a family-friendly event. We have a kids run, a 1 mile, and a 5K. And we're hoping for the weather we had last year and that we have even more participants. So I'll send you all information.
That's the second.
Thank you.
September 12th.
Karen?
It's our second annual, September 12th. And we turn 100 at the same time as the village turning 200. So we'll be celebrating both of those things on that morning.
Karen?
I would recommend that everybody on council look at the Form 990 to see exactly how much fundraising the Conservancy does.
Okay. If there are no other questions from council, this is a section for comments from the audience. If you have any comments, please come to the microphone. Identify yourself, not your address though, and try to limit your comments to 3 to 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. I'm Jamie Carricker. I'm the president of the Gates Mills Land Conservancy. I hope you'll give me a little grace. I'm not a public speaker by profession. You know, I'm a volunteer like everyone else who's a board member of the Land Conservancy, 15 of us. There's a few points I just wanted to make, and I appreciate all of your time and all your consideration as you think about this issue. A few important things that are important to me and important to our board. I just want to make very clear, we're not about stopping development in Gates Mills. 100%. I would not be involved in an organization that is about stopping development. We never had enough money to stop development wholesale in Gates Mills. You know, that'd be tens of millions of dollars, right? Our job is to protect the unique natural heritage of the Chagrin Valley. We work hand in hand with conservation partners around the region, including the Western Reserve Land Conservancy. We're extremely friendly with them. We share conservation easements with them. We partner with them. We had an event here in town with Land Trust Alliance, which is a national association for land trusts in America. We had people from Canada here, 50 conservation folks. We partnered with Western Reserve Land Conservancy to bring them here. We went to their headquarters and we went up to Willoughby for another project. So, you know, their mission is just like our mission. We work together. The other thing I would just make a point of is that, like Western Reserve Land Conservancy and other land conservancies, we work closely with cities and jurisdictions, and that includes getting funding to do work. You know, what just makes us unique is that we are focused 100% on Gates Mills. That's in our rules. We can't work outside of our borders. You know, we work only in Gates Mills. Fundraising is important, and I can tell you right now, we bring in about $40,000 a year. I can tell you right now. We always want to drive that number up. We sent a fundraiser out May 15th, like Councilwoman Perez said. We sent another one earlier in the year. We do 2 a year. We do a lot of communication in terms of newsletters, events. You know, we work hard to make sure people know that what we're doing. We want them to come and learn about us, ask questions, probe, you know, challenge us. I'm happy to have those conversations. We're all happy to talk about those things. So we want to respond to the community. But, you know, and I will say, you know, if there are recommendations, you know, I hear what you're saying, you know, we want to be delicate about how we ask for money. You know, some people wouldn't take too kindly for us knocking on their door asking for money, but some people may be okay with that. So, you know, but I will say, you know, we have fundraising professionals on our board, you know, people who've been doing this for 40 years. That's their whole profession, you know, working for organizations like Lakeview Cemetery, much larger than our little nonprofit. So very important, and we definitely continue to focus on that. Last point I would just make is that, you know, for the last 35 years, and I guess I would make a point, you know, Land Conservancy started in 1988. I was 7, so I wasn't there in the beginning. You know, I've been here about 6 years. You know, I know what I know. I know the people I work with, the people I volunteer with. Man, they're passionate. You know, like we spend so many hours doing this, and you know, it's for the betterment of the community. We really believe in it, and I would just say that, you know, we're ready to work and continue to work that with the community. And I just look forward to the town hall next week and look forward to answering questions and look forward to just keeping it going. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jamie. Any other comments from the audience? If not, I'll have a motion to,
Steve,
conclude
I
the
have
meeting.
one last thing.
Yes.
It's hard to believe, guys, but whether you think summer's almost over or not, but this week is the last week this summer for the Gates Mills Nature Camp.
Hmm.
And I think it's been a great summer for them. Everyone should, if you've run into Joe or Carmela Hayes or their son Josh, say thank you. They did a great job. I know the kids had a wonderful time, and it's really a unique thing here in the village. That nature camp takes advantage of our river and the beauty that we have, and these kids have a blast. And I think Megan could second that. Yep. So if you see them, say thank you to them. They've done another wonderful job again another year. With that, I would move to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Broom.
Yes.
Greco.
Yes.
Onesco.
Yes.
Rez.
Yes.
Steinbrink.
Yes.
Turner. Young.
Yes.
Thank you all for your participation. This concludes the meeting.
Taking my mug.
Taking your what?
You know, I
My
figured
mug.
it out. Hey, Sean.
Cheers, Chief?